The history of human connection, evolving relationships through time. Imagine a small ancient tribe gathered around a flickering fire under a vast, starlit sky. They tell stories of their ancestors, share laughter, and bond over shared experiences. Fast forward thousands of years, we now find ourselves in a digital age, where connections can be made with a swipe on our screens, yet loneliness permeates many lives. This contrast raises a deeply philosophical question. How has the essence of human connection evolved throughout history? At its core, the concept of human connection has always revolved around the idea of shared experience, intimacy, and understanding. In the philosophical realm, thinkers like Martin Buber have explored this through his notion of a-thou relationships, which emphasize deep, meaningful connections as opposed to I-it relationships, where one party views the other as an object. Buber contends that true connection is an encounter where both individuals are present, revealing themselves to one another. But as we transition into an increasingly individualistic society, can we maintain such profound connections? Contrast this with existentialist views, particularly those of Jean-Paul Sartre. He presents a more ambivalent perspective on human relationships, suggesting that they are often fraught with jealousy and conflict. In Sartre's play No Exit, he famously declares, "Hell is other people." This expression points to the idea that the inherent tension in human relationships can lead to estrangement rather than unity. Can we reconcile the yearning for connection with these darker truths about interpersonal dynamics? In modern society, technology creates a paradox. It facilitates connections that transcend geographical boundaries, yet leaves many feeling isolated. Social media platforms allow us to connect with hundreds, if not thousands, of acquaintances. Yet studies show that these superficial engagements often lack the depth necessary for genuine emotional fulfillment. This reality echoes the warnings of philosophers like Sherry Turkle, who argues that our devices offer the illusion of companionship without the demands and rewards of true friendship. The implications of this evolving relationship landscape extend to mental health, with rising rates of loneliness and anxiety in many developed societies. Engaging with this dilemma invites us to reflect on the quality of our relationships rather than merely their quantity. Can we foster I-thou connections in a world driven by likes and retweets? As we consider the past and present dynamics of human interaction, we might ponder how the essence of connection can adapt to our changing circumstances. How do we navigate the balance between individuality and community in a world where both are increasingly challenged? Perhaps the journey toward authentic connection is as much about understanding ourselves as it is about understanding others. In this ongoing exploration of human connection, we are left with questions to ponder. How do our relationships shape who we are? Can we find ways to make meaningful connections even amidst the noise of modern existence? And in the process, what new forms of connection might await discovery as we continue to evolve? The nature of belief, how our faith shapes our experience. Imagine for a moment that you find yourself in a bustling city, surrounded by towering buildings and a cacophony of voices. As you traverse this urban landscape, you encounter two individuals, a skeptic and a person of deep faith. The skeptic sees only the brick and mortar, the noise and the chaos of life. Disillusioned by past experiences, they find little meaning amidst the hustle. In contrast, the believer marvels at the same city, seeing divine purpose interwoven in every moment and every interaction. Their faith transforms the mundane into the miraculous, providing a framework to navigate life's trials and tribulations. This scenario invites us to wonder, how do our beliefs shape our realities? Philosophers have long grappled with the nature of belief and its impact on human experience. William James, in his work The Varieties of Religious Experience, suggests that belief can be profoundly pragmatic. What one believes shapes not only their perceptions, but also their actions. He posits that faith, whether in a higher power or in humanity, can lead to a more fulfilling grip on life. Thus, our beliefs serve as lenses through which we interpret the world, coloring our experiences with shades of hope, meaning, or despair. Yet, contrasting views emerge. Friedrich Nietzsche famously declared that God is dead, arguing that the absence of divine belief frees us to craft our own meanings, yet it can also plunge us into existential angst. Without a guiding belief system, how do we find purpose? Skepticism, while it invites critical thinking and inquiry, often brings a sense of disconnection. Could it be that this very skepticism blinds us to the meaningful tapestry of life woven through belief? In today's society, with its vast array of beliefs, from scientific rationalism to spiritual exploration, this philosophical dilemma remains relevant. How often do we see individuals grapple with differing worldviews, each claiming to hold the truth? For some, belief can foster resilience in facing challenges, while for others, an absence of belief might embolden the pursuit of truth without anchors of faith. Whether through meditation, community, or contemplation, the quest for meaning shapes our existence in profound ways. As we reflect on the nature of belief and its intricate role in shaping our experiences, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Can belief be merely a construct of the mind, or does it hold a deeper reality to which we tap into for meaning? Is the skeptic's clarity more liberating than the believer's comfort? Each perspective offers a pathway into understanding the shared human experience, inviting us to explore not only what we believe, but how those beliefs mold our realities. Perhaps in the end, the most enriching path lies not in settling upon absolutes, but in embracing the questions that arise. How does your belief shape your perception of the world? What experiences would feel different without faith? May our reflections guide us toward deeper understanding as we continue this journey of life together. Weaving through uncertainty with open hearts and curious minds, the journey of self-discovery. How do we find our true selves? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, shimmering ocean, with waves gently lapping at your feet. The horizon is an inviting blur, promising endless possibilities and mysteries yet to be uncovered. But deep within, you ponder, how do you find your true self amidst the noise of daily life? Are we merely shaped by our experiences, or is there a deeper essence within us, waiting to be revealed? The journey of self-discovery has captivated thinkers throughout history, leading to varied philosophical interpretations. For Plato, the true self could be unveiled through introspection and dialectical reasoning, suggesting that understanding oneself requires peeling back the layers of societal expectations and false identities. The famous allegory of the cave illustrates this idea, where prisoners perceive shadows on a wall, mistaking them for reality, while the enlightened few escape to the light, recognizing the forms as the true nature of existence. In contrast, existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre argue that we are born without essence, and that our identities are forged through choices and actions. Sartre posited that existence precedes essence, meaning we define ourselves in the act of living. In this fluid unraveling, our true selves are not preordained. They emerge through our engagements with the world around us. Yet this perspective begs a deeper inquiry. Can the relentless pursuit of self-crafted identity lead to existential despair as we grapple with the weight of freedom and the absence of inherent meaning? In contemporary society, these philosophical dilemmas resonate deeply. Social media platforms present curated versions of ourselves, blurring the lines between genuine identity and the versions we project for the world to see. In this age of digital personas, how do we navigate our paths toward authenticity? The philosopher Simone de Beauvoir reminds us that to be truly free is to embrace our lived experiences while rejecting the roles imposed by others. Yet in our quest for authenticity, do we sometimes lose sight of the interplay between the self and society, which also shapes who we are? Consider the mindfulness movement that has gained traction in recent years. It invites us to turn inward, to confront our thoughts and emotions without judgment. This practice echoes the ideas of Eastern philosophies, like Buddhism, which emphasize self-awareness and detachment from the ego. While such approaches cultivate a sense of inner peace and clarity, do they truly lead us to our true selves, or simply provide a soothing balm for our fragmented identities? As we wander along this path of self-discovery, the intersections of philosophy and modern life urge us to reflect rather than rush toward conclusions. The journey is not merely about finding an answer. It is about embracing the discomfort, the uncertainty, and the myriad ways we learn about ourselves through connection, failure, and triumph. In this vast ocean of existence, perhaps asking how to find our true selves is not as crucial as who we become as we explore these depths. And so we leave you with this open-ended invitation. In your own journey of self-discovery, what questions will you ask, and what truths might you uncover as you navigate the waves of your being? The illusion of independence, the interconnectedness of all life. Imagine a single raindrop falling gently from a cloud, landing softly on a vibrant leaf. In that moment, it seems isolated and independent. But what if we explored the broader tapestry of life? Each raindrop is not merely a solitary entity. Instead, it is part of a vast web where every drop connects to the earth, the tree, and beyond, linking ecosystems and sustaining life itself. This simple moment offers a glimpse into a profound philosophical dilemma. Are we truly independent beings, or are we intricately woven into the fabric of existence? Philosophers throughout history have grappled with the notion of interconnectedness. Baruch Spinoza proposed a pantheistic view, suggesting that everything is part of an infinite substance he called God or nature. For Spinoza, each individual is merely a mode of expression within this greater whole, challenging our sense of autonomy. In contrast, existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre emphasized individual freedom and the burden of choice, highlighting our perceived isolation in a universe without inherent meaning. Yet, could these perspectives be more akin to complementary threads rather than opposing viewpoints? In our modern world, the illusion of independence is reinforced by societal norms that celebrate the individual. We often hear mantras urging self-reliance, personal achievement, and economic independence. Yet beneath this surface lies a reality steeped in dependence, on nature, on relationships, and on communities. Climate change serves as a stark reminder of our interconnectedness. The pollution generated by one society can disrupt ecosystems continents away, illustrating that our actions ripple through the global network. Consider how the health of our communities reflects the interconnected web of life. A thriving environment fosters collective well-being, and when one part of the ecosystem suffers, whether from pollution, disease, or poverty, the consequences reverberate. The Indian philosophy of ahimsa, or nonviolence, acknowledges this connection, promoting kindness not just to other humans but to all living beings, recognizing that harming one ultimately harms oneself. As we reflect on these perspectives, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Do we embrace the idea that our independence is a mere illusion, a comforting story we tell ourselves, or do we resist, focusing on the autonomy that allows us to shape our destinies? Perhaps both viewpoints bear truth, intertwining like the roots of a tree, each supporting the other. In closing, the notion of our interconnectedness invites profound contemplation. Are we isolated entities, crafting our path, or are we parts of a larger whole, intricately enmeshed in the dance of existence? This question invites us to pause and reflect on our roles within the grand tapestry of life. As we navigate our journeys, let us remain open to the delicate threads that link us to one another, aware that our individual stories contribute to a narrative far greater than ourselves. What connections might you explore today, and how do they shape your understanding of independence? The essence of gratitude, how appreciation shifts our perspective. Imagine waking up one morning, the sun casting warm rays through your window, yet instead of feeling uplifted, you find yourself caught in a web of grievances. It feels as though the day ahead is a burden rather than a gift. Now, consider for a moment how a simple shift in perception, this one powerful notion of gratitude, could dramatically alter your reality. If we were to embrace gratitude, how might that transform our view of ourselves and the world around us? At its core, gratitude challenges us to examine our relationship with our experiences. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant recognize the profound moral implications of gratitude, suggesting that it cultivates a sense of duty toward others. When we appreciate what we have, our relationships, our health, and even our struggles, we're not merely acknowledging favorable circumstances. Instead, we are engaging in a deeper, ethical connection with our existence and the people shaping our lives. This acknowledgement connects us, fostering empathy and bridging the gaps that often separate us from those around us. Yet there are contrasting perspectives. Friedrich Nietzsche famously critiqued the notion of gratitude, arguing it might serve as a moral constraint, binding us to undeveloped emotions and preventing us from pursuing our true desires. In his view, Excessive focus on thankfulness could lead one to overlook the bitterness and resentment that drive us toward personal growth and creativity. How can we harmonize this dichotomy between gratitude and recognition of life's hardships? In contemporary society, we are more aware than ever of the stressors that cloud our minds: work pressures, social media comparisons, and existential dread. Gratitude practices, such as daily journaling or simply pausing to savor a moment, aim to dissolve that heaviness. Studies have shown that cultivating gratitude can lead to improved mental health and deeper interpersonal connections. But the question remains, are these practices a genuine embrace of gratitude, or do they risk becoming another way to normalize enduring the overwhelming aspects of life? Consider a moment of quiet reflection. What might happen if we allow ourselves to lean into gratitude, not as a dismissal of discomfort, but as a nuanced acceptance of life's complexity? This invites a transformative potential. C.S. Lewis suggested that joy, often found in gratitude, entangles us within paradoxes. As we grapple with loss and longing, can we attach ourselves to moments of appreciation even amidst suffering? Ultimately, the exploration of gratitude encourages us to tread softly through our own lives and those of others. By contemplating the essence of gratitude, we cultivate a resilience that does not negate our struggles, but rather illuminates them within a broader tapestry of human experience. So, as we quietly ponder the day ahead, we could ask ourselves, how might embracing gratitude change not only our own hearts, but the world around us? And in this interplay of acknowledgement, can we find a path that honors both joy and sorrow, shaping a richer understanding of our shared existence? The whispers of nature. What can we learn from the earth? As you walk through a tranquil forest, sunlight filtering through the leaves, a thought arises. What if the earth, in all its natural wonder, holds wisdom that we have yet to uncover? The gentle rustling of the trees and the soft hum of life around you seem to whisper secrets of existence, inviting us to reflect on our relationship with nature and the profound lessons it has to offer. In this contemplative journey, we navigate the intersections of humanity and the natural world, exploring the philosophical dilemmas that accompany our existence. At the heart of this exploration lies the question of whether nature is merely a resource for human consumption or a teacher in its own right. Historically, thinkers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau viewed nature as a sanctum of wisdom, a conduit through which we might attain higher truths about ourselves and our place in the universe. Emerson's transcendentalism urges us to see nature not just as a backdrop for human activity, but as a vital participant in our spiritual journey, urging a harmonious existence. Contrastingly, the perspective of utilitarianism, represented by philosophers like John Stuart Mill, often prioritizes human benefit above the intrinsic value of the natural world. In this view, nature serves as a means to human ends. Beauty, resources, and recreation are only valuable insofar as they contribute to human happiness. Yet, as we grapple with climate change and biodiversity loss, this utilitarian approach can seem increasingly short-sighted, highlighting the tension between exploitation and reverence. This tension mirrors the current debates surrounding environmental ethics. Should we regard nature as a living entity deserving of moral consideration, as suggested by deep ecology advocates like Arne Naess? Or are we justified in prioritizing human needs, as some argue, in a world where survival often dictates choices? Each perspective raises significant questions about responsibility and stewardship. In an age of unprecedented environmental challenges, can we learn to listen to nature, not merely as an external resource, but as a profound source of insight? Consider the cyclical rhythms of nature, the changing seasons, the ebb and flow of tides, offering lessons in patience, resilience, and interconnectivity. Indigenous wisdom profoundly embodies this understanding, emphasizing respect for the land and the delicate balance of ecosystems. By embracing these teachings, we might cultivate a deeper sense of belonging within the web of life, challenging the notion that humanity stands apart from nature, instead recognizing ourselves as integral threads in its fabric. As we reflect on what the earth can teach us, we are reminded of the beauty and complexity of existence itself. The question remains, can we develop a relationship with nature that honors its agency while nurturing our own growth? Or will we continue to tread a path that prioritizes short-term gain and overlooks the profound lessons whispered to us from the depths of the forests, the songs of rivers, and the silence of mountains? May this contemplation inspire us to seek an ongoing dialogue with the earth, one that invites curiosity, reverence, and a renewed commitment to understanding the whispers of nature. The dance of dreams, navigating between aspiration and reality. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the horizon stretching endlessly before you. Each wave that crashes against the shore carries the whisper of a dream, some bright and bold, others soft and fragile. In this moment, you face a profound question. How do we reconcile the dreams that inspire us with the reality we inhabit? This dilemma, a dance between aspiration and reality, invites reflection on our innermost desires and the sometimes harsh truths of our existence. At the heart of this exploration lies the understanding of aspiration, a beacon of hope that promises fulfillment and growth. Philosophers like Aristotle believed that the pursuit of our highest potential, or eudaimonia, is essential to living a meaningful life. He urged humanity to strive for virtue and excellence. Yet, as we reach for the stars, we often encounter the grounding pull of reality. The existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre posited that we are condemned to be free, laden with the responsibility of choosing our path amid a world filled with ambiguity. In doing so, we must navigate the tension between our lofty dreams and the limitations imposed by our circumstances. Modern life provides a fertile ground for this dilemma. Social media showcases perfected narratives, highlighting the accomplishments of others, while we struggle with self-doubt. The ambition to transcend our reality often sets us on a relentless pursuit, leading to both motivations and disappointments. In this light, the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard's idea of the leap of faith comes into play. He suggests that our quest for meaning involves embracing uncertainty, diving into our dreams while accepting the possibility of failure, a delicate balance that can be both invigorating and frightening. Yet what happens when our dreams conflict with life's realities? The struggle can ignite despair or push us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves. Consider the artist striving for recognition, whose talent goes unacknowledged, or the entrepreneur pouring their passion into a fledgling startup that fails to take off. These moments can provoke reflection on the nature of success. Is it merely the realization of our aspirations, or is it found in the journey itself, the courage to create, dream, and push against the boundaries of possibility? In a world rich with paradox, we learn that aspirations are not just endpoints, but profound teachers. As we weave through the fabric of our hopes and the threads of reality, we realize that our dreams can evolve, shift, and transform. Perhaps it is not about choosing between aspiration and reality, but about harmonizing them. So how do we embrace this dance? Can we allow our dreams to inspire us while recognizing the beauty that resides within our imperfections and limitations? The questions linger, inviting us to reflect on our own lives, our dreams, and the paths we choose. In surrendering to this dance, we may find deeper meaning in our aspirations, reminding us that life, in all its complexity, is an ongoing journey of discovery. The fabric of community, the importance of belonging. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, your feet buried in the warm sand. As you gaze out over the waves, you notice other figures, each drifting in their own little boats, navigating the waters of life. Each vessel is distinct, representing individual dreams, fears, and aspirations. But what if, despite the vastness of this ocean, you feel an ache of solitude? This longing, this profound need for connection, raises a question as old as humanity itself. What does it mean to belong? Belonging is a fundamental human need, as critical to our well-being as food and shelter. Philosophers like Aristotle posited that humans are inherently social creatures, designed to thrive within a community. He believed that true fulfillment cannot be achieved in isolation. Vibrant friendships and deep connections enrich our lives. Yet, in modern society, the paradox emerges. While we are increasingly connected through technology, many find themselves feeling lonely. Consider the contrasting views of philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Martin Buber. Sartre famously declared that hell is other people, suggesting that interactions can become sources of anguish and conflict. Yet Buber's philosophy of dialogue underscores that real relationships foster meaning. In his view, encounters with others are sacred moments, where two existences come together and create something greater than themselves. Is it possible, then, that our discomfort with connection stems not from the presence of others, but from the nature of our interactions? In contemporary life, belonging can manifest in various forms, be it through cultural, familial, or social ties. Yet as societies evolve, so do the challenges of maintaining these ties. The rise of digital interaction presents a dual-edged sword. While it helps forge connections across boundaries, it also risks diluting the intimacy that comes from face-to-face relationships. The irony lies in our search for authenticity through curated online personas, leaving many to ponder if they truly belong to the communities they engage with. Moreover, the impact of exclusion cannot be underestimated. As philosopher Charles Taylor points out, recognition is vital to our identity. When marginalized individuals are denied a sense of belonging, it not only degrades their self-esteem, but also fractures the fabric of society itself. The consequences of this exclusion echo in the current socio-political landscape, where division seems more palpable than unity. Yet, in the heart of these struggles lies an opportunity for growth, a chance for communities to redefine their parameters of inclusion. Our journey toward belonging invites questions without easy answers. What sacrifices are we willing to make for connection? Does belonging to a community require us to conform, or can we embrace our individuality within it? In this reflective dance between isolation and community, perhaps the greatest challenge lies in redefining what we seek, not just affiliation, but a profound sense of welcome, where our stories intertwine. As we navigate this intricate tapestry of relationships, let us ponder, how can we weave the threads of belonging into a fabric that feels inclusive, warm, and alive? The answers, like the waves of the ocean, may ebb and flow, inviting us to continuously explore the depth of human connection. The power of rituals, how habits connect us to meaning. Picture a quiet morning, the sun gradually spilling its light over the horizon. A gentle breeze stirs the trees, and a familiar scent of coffee wafts through your home. The world awakens, and you find yourself drawn into the comforting embrace of a ritual. Perhaps it's the way you brew your coffee, the daily meditation that grounds you, or the evening walk that clears your mind. In these moments, you may wonder, how do these simple routines shape our lives and connect us to something deeper, something meaningful? Rituals, in their essence, have the power to shape our reality. They serve as anchors in our chaotic world, offering a sense of stability and continuity. Philosophers like John Dewey argued that experiences marked by ritual can foster a sense of community and shared values, facilitating connections that resonate through generations. In doing so, they enable us to find meaning in our lives, a stark contrast to existential philosophies that suggest life is inherently devoid of purpose. Yet the nature of rituals can be a double-edged sword. On one side, rituals instill a profound sense of belonging and identity. They can mark significant life events, births, deaths, weddings, providing a structure that helps us navigate our emotions. For instance, anthropologist Victor Turner noted how rituals of transition create a sense of liminality, a space where individuals can redefine themselves. Through this lens, we see that rituals do not merely repeat actions. They play a role in our personal and collective evolution. On the other hand, some skeptics argue that becoming too attached to rituals can lead to stagnation or blind adherence to outdated traditions. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche famously questioned the refrains from habitual behavior, urging individuals to embrace the chaos of life and forge their own paths. In this perspective, rituals risk becoming empty gestures, devoid of genuine meaning. The challenge becomes finding a balance, acknowledging the comfort of rituals while remaining open to growth and change. In our modern world, the significance of rituals manifests in various ways, whether through daily habits that enhance our productivity or community gatherings that reinforce social bonds. From a simple affirmation to elaborate celebrations, humans are hardwired to seek these connections. As we navigate a society often marked by rapid change and uncertainty, we find ourselves yearning for the familiar. Things that once seemed mundane, a family dinner, a morning routine, can transform into sacred rituals that imbue our lives with meaning. Yet, as we indulge in these practices, an important question lingers. Are rituals merely constructs, or do they reveal a deeper truth about our existence? Do they serve as a pathway to understanding ourselves and our place in the cosmos? Perhaps the beauty of rituals lies in their duality, embodying the tension between tradition and innovation, between the familiar and the unknown. They invite us to reflect on what it means to seek connection, encouraging us to ponder, how do our daily practices enrich our lives, and what stories do they tell about who we are? As you consider this, remember that the journey of exploration may be just as significant as any ritual itself. The shadows of anxiety, understanding fear and its role in our lives. Imagine standing on the precipice of a vast canyon, the wind tugging at your clothes while your heart races and your palms sweat. You feel both exhilarated and terrified. What is it that grips you? A sudden chirp of fear, a whisper telling you to hesitate. This visceral experience reflects a complex interplay between anxiety and our instincts for survival. But what if we shifted our gaze beyond the mere physical? What if the canyon represents the broader fears that lie within us, anxieties about our future, our relationships, our very existence? Fear, as many philosophers have explored, serves a dual purpose. It protects us and in some cases ensnares us. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, profoundly articulated that it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our interpretations of those things. Anxiety, then, emerges not merely from external threats, but from our internal narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about those threats. What if our fear is a reflection of our value systems, the expectations we carry, or the possibilities of what can occur? Consider the contrasting views of Kierkegaard, who believed that anxiety arises from our freedom and the weight of choice. To him, it is a pathway to personal authenticity, a shedding of complacency in pursuit of self-understanding. Yet, when we stay submerged in anxiety, this authentic exploration can warp into a debilitating shadow, obscuring our path and isolating us from others. In today's world, where social media paints an idealized view of life, anxieties proliferate. We fret over likes and comments, measuring our worth against a curated reality. This modern dichotomy prompts us to ask, has our connection to the world become a source of inner turmoil rather than reassurance? Is our fear of inadequacy, stemming from a natural instinct to bond and belong, now twisted into a relentless cycle of comparison and self-doubt? Philosophers like Martin Heidegger bring an intriguing angle, discussing how anxiety can lead us to confront our own existence. It urges us to evaluate not just who we are, but how we relate to others. In this light, anxiety is not merely an adversary, but a catalyst for profound existential reflection. However, can we embrace this discomfort without being overwhelmed? We see this dilemma manifest in our lives. When does healthy caution become paralyzing fear? The shadows of anxiety stretch long, revealing the intricacies of our psychological landscapes. In grappling with these emotions, we may find they illuminate aspects of ourselves we had not previously acknowledged. The essence of this exploration invites us to sit with our fears, to hold space for them, and contemplate their origin and impact on our lives. As we journey forward, let us ponder, what can our fears teach us about our values and desires? What shadows lurk in the corners of our consciousness, quietly urging us to grow? In this expansive inquiry, the goal is not resolution, but a gentle engagement, a chance to reflect deeply on the tapestry of anxiety woven into our existence. The paradox of simplicity, why less can be more. Imagine standing before a captivating painting, with layers of color and texture pulling you in. Initially, your eye is drawn to the intricate details, the complexity of each brushstroke, and the vibrancy of the forms. Yet as you step back, you realize that the deepest impact comes not from the complexity, but from its simplicity, those few strokes that convey emotions and ideas far beyond their number. This experience nudges at a profound philosophical quandary. Is it possible that in a world overflowing with information and distractions, less can be more? This notion of simplicity speaks to various philosophical stances. The Stoics, such as Epictetus, advocated for a life of virtue and contentment, stripped of excess. They argued that true happiness is found not in the accumulation of wealth or the chaos of superficial distractions, but in embracing a life guided by virtue, tranquility, and simplicity. In contrast, existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre posited that we must create meaning amidst an absurd world drenched in complexity. They suggest that the more we have, emotions, choices, experiences, gives life its flavor, its significance, perhaps pointing towards the richness that complexity can bring. Yet there's a paradox here. In a rapid age of excess, information overload, consumerism, an endless barrage of choices, we often find ourselves overwhelmed. Cognitive load theory proposes that as stimuli increase, our ability to process information diminishes. This dissonance leads us to a sense of chaos rather than clarity. Minimalism, embraced by many contemporary thinkers, suggests that shedding the unnecessary can lead to inner peace, reflecting that sometimes simplicity is the guiding light through complexity. We see this in our modern lives. Consider the benefits of decluttering, whether our physical spaces or our mental landscapes. Many report a sense of relief when they simplify what they own, leading to increased focus and reduced anxiety. The idea that less can lead to more is echoed in the world of design, where clean lines and simple aesthetics often evoke powerful emotional responses. It is reminiscent of Albert Camus' assertion that life's beauty lies in the small, simple moments: a dawn, a shared smile, the sound of laughter. Yet as we navigate this journey, it's essential to ponder: is simplicity a path to liberation, or does it risk stripping away the colors of life? Can we find truth in the delicate balance between complexity and simplicity? Or does leaning toward one inherently diminish the value of the other? In a world that encourages both mindfulness and stimulation, the paradox of simplicity invites us to reflect on our choices. As you ponder this duality, consider how simplicity shapes your life and thoughts. What beauty resides in the simple spaces you've created? What complexity fuels your passions? The exploration continues, urging us to seek wisdom in both the elegance of simplicity and the richness found in life's complexities, an open-ended inquiry into what it truly means to live well. The art of mindfulness, being present in a distracted age. Imagine a busy city street, teeming with people rushing past, eyes glued to their screens. Each person, lost in their own digital world, seems disconnected from the reality surrounding them. What happens to our sense of self and our relationships with others in this whirlwind of distraction? In an age dominated by notifications, constant connectivity, and the relentless pace of modern life, the art of mindfulness offers us a way back to the present moment. Mindfulness, often associated with the teachings of ancient Eastern philosophies, emphasizes the importance of being fully aware and engaged in the here and now. Jon Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer of mindfulness in the West, defines it as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. This practice invites us to step outside the incessant clamor of our thoughts, grounding us amidst the background noise of our distracted age. Yet, as we explore mindfulness, we encounter a philosophical dilemma. Is it even possible to be present in a world that constantly vies for our attention? Martin Heidegger raised concerns about modernity's alienation, how technology distances us from authentic experiences and ourselves. He argued that in our quest for efficiency, we might miss the richness of being alive. In this sense, mindfulness becomes a form of resistance against a society that often values productivity over presence. Contrast this with the views of existentialists like Søren Kierkegaard, who posited that awareness of our existence creates anxiety. For Kierkegaard, embracing the present moment could lead one to confront the absurdity of life and consequently to discover a deeper sense of personal meaning. This existential perspective suggests that being present is not merely a calming experience, but a courageous acknowledgement of life's inherent uncertainties. In today's world, we can see the pressing need for mindfulness manifesting in various contexts, from the rise of meditation apps to corporate wellness programs. Yet the challenge remains: how do we cultivate this awareness amidst our distractions? As we scroll through endless feeds, caught between the demands of work and personal responsibilities, can we truly carve out moments to simply be? Philosopher Alan Watts offers a different lens through which to view mindfulness. He suggested that the present moment is all we have. Our pasts and futures are mere illusions. Yet despite this philosophical clarity, how many of us genuinely embrace this idea? The paradox of wishing to be present while being bombarded by distractions leaves us teetering between awareness and escapism. So as we navigate our distractions, we might ask, What does it mean to truly be present? In seeking mindfulness, we open ourselves to the possibility of deeper connections with ourselves and with others. It invites a gentle questioning of what really matters in our lives and challenges us to reclaim time from the clutches of the digital world. As we reflect on this journey, we are left with a simple yet profound thought. Amidst the chaos of modern existence, how might we bring our attention back to the fleeting beauty of this very moment? The answer remains elusive, inviting us to ponder, explore, and perhaps one day to find our own paths toward presence and peace. The rhythm of life, finding balance in a hectic world. Imagine standing at the edge of a wide river, its waters rushing past you with a relentless current. All around, the sounds of nature mingle with the distant noise of a bustling city, a world compressed with urgency and demand. You ponder, in this fast-paced symphony of life, how do we find balance? How do we dance gracefully between the competing melodies of our obligations, aspirations, and our own need for peace? This contemplation leads us to a delicate philosophical dilemma. In a world that seems to compel us toward perpetual busyness, can we truly find moments of balance and harmony? The philosopher Aristotle introduced the concept of the golden mean, suggesting that virtue lies in moderation. For him, achieving balance in our lives requires a conscious effort to navigate between extremes, the excess of recklessness and the deficiency of cowardice. But in the cacophony of modern life, is it even possible to discern what constitutes moderation? In contrast, existentialist thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre would argue that our pursuit of balance is often a quest for authentic existence. Sartre posits that we must create our own essence through choices and actions. Yet, in doing so, might we overlook the simple requirement for rest and reflection amidst our relentless striving? The struggle for balance becomes even more complex when we consider our cultural conditioning, societal norms that valorize constant productivity and achievement. In today's hyper-connected world, our work lives bleed into our personal lives, the digital noise often drowning out our inner stillness. Social media, emails, and urgent deadlines pull us in all directions, creating a sensation of imbalance that many of us experience as anxiety. This is where the Stoics can offer a calming perspective. Seneca taught us the importance of aligning our focus with what we can control, while letting go of the chaos outside our reach. By embracing acceptance and resilience, one could argue that a meaningful rhythm can emerge from even the most disrupted tempo. Yet, does the pursuit of balance suggest that we need to prioritize one phase of our lives over another? What about the voices of those who advocate for radical acceptance of chaos, like psychologist Carl Jung, who emphasizes that the unseen aspects of our lives, the unconscious thoughts and emotions, play a vital role in our overall rhythm? Perhaps there is wisdom in embracing a holistic view that allows us to engage with both the serene and the tumultuous parts of existence without forcing them into rigid categories. As you reflect on your own life, on the demands that pull at you and the moments of peace that slip away, consider this open-ended question. How might you embrace the complexity of your experiences, accepting that balance might not always mean harmony, but rather a dance of alignment with your inner self? In navigating this rhythm, perhaps the journey itself becomes a profound meditation on what it means to truly live. The language of intuition, trusting your gut feelings. Imagine standing at a crossroads. One path is well-trodden, mapped out by rational thought, analysis, and the advice of others. The other is shrouded in uncertainty, beckoning you to trust something deeper, your intuition, often described as a gut feeling. Which path would you choose? This moment of decision encapsulates the philosophical dilemma of intuition. Should we trust our instincts or lean on rationality's steady hand? Intuition, often dismissed as whimsical or irrational, has been the subject of philosophical inquiry for centuries. The Swiss philosopher Henri Bergson proposed that intuitive knowledge offers a richer understanding than mere intellectual analysis. He believed that, in certain circumstances, instinctual knowledge can surpass the limits of logical reasoning, capturing the essence of our experiences. Yet, can we really trust something that feels so elusive? Contrastingly, thinkers like René Descartes argued for the supremacy of reason. Descartes famously stated, "I think, therefore I am," emphasizing the necessity of clear and distinct ideas in forming true knowledge. For him, the mind's analytical capabilities overshadowed the imprecise nature of intuitive understanding. In a world increasingly driven by data and analysis, this Cartesian approach feels more relevant than ever, promoting the idea that our gut feelings can lead us astray. Yet, empirical evidence suggests that intuition plays a crucial role in decision-making. Psychologists like Daniel Kahneman highlight how our subconscious offers valuable insights drawn from past experiences, often faster and more effectively than deliberative reasoning. This challenges us to consider: do we underestimate our intuitive faculties, dismissing them as mere whims when they may hold hidden wisdom? The modern landscape presents a synthesis of these perspectives. We find ourselves navigating complex decisions daily, from personal dilemmas to ethical choices in professional realms. Should we rely on gut feelings when choosing a career, or in ethical quandaries? It's easy to imagine a situation where logic falters. Perhaps in moments of peak stress or emotional upheaval, our analytical minds struggle while our intuition might guide us better. However, the question remains: what happens when intuition leads us astray? Personal anecdotes abound of individuals who trusted their instincts, only to face dire consequences. The potential fallibility of intuition emphasizes the need for balance in our decision-making processes. As you reflect on your own life, consider the times when trusting your gut has served you well or led to regret. The riddle of intuition invites us to ponder whether the whispers of our inner selves are truly reliable guides or simply comforting echoes of desire. In a world of complex choices and emotions, how do we navigate our own inner compass? Perhaps the journey toward understanding this delicate balance is where true wisdom lies, urging us to embrace both intuition and rational thought, simultaneously in harmony. The complexity of choices, how decisions shape our lives. Imagine standing at a crossroads, each path representing a distinct future. To the left, a career in the sciences offers stability and rational exploration. To the right, a pursuit of the arts promises self-expression and emotional depth. In this simple yet profound moment of decision, the weight of your choice looms large, reminding us that the complexity of choices we face shapes not only our lives, but also the very fabric of our identities. This complexity evokes ancient philosophical discussions surrounding free will and determinism. Philosophers like existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre insist that we are condemned to be free. Our choices, laden with responsibility, define who we become. In stark contrast, determinists such as Baruch Spinoza argue that our decisions are mere illusions, products of prior causes acting upon us, reducing our autonomy to the whims of fate. Caught within this tension, we must navigate the paradox of our existence, how to embrace freedom while recognizing the limitations imposed by our circumstances. Every decision, big or small, ripples outward, intertwining with the narratives of those around us. Consider the butterfly effect, a tiny flap of wings in one corner of the world leading to significant changes elsewhere. Similarly, our choices can seem inconsequential, yet culminate into life-altering events. A suggestion to explore a new hobby could awaken a latent passion, leading to unexpected friendships, career opportunities, or even newfound purpose. The interconnectedness of our decisions reflects a profound philosophical understanding of interdependence, reminding us that our individual lives are but threads in the greater tapestry of human experience. In contemporary society, the complexity of choices often overwhelms. With endless options in everything from career paths to dating apps, decision fatigue can paralyze us. This leads to questions about authenticity. What happens when we make choices influenced more by societal pressure than our true desires? Psychologist Barry Schwartz in The Paradox of Choice suggests that too many options can lead to anxiety and discontent. In navigating choices, how do we discern what truly resonates with our authentic selves versus what society dictates as desirable? Yet, lurking beneath these considerations is the reality that our choices can sometimes reflect our values and beliefs. The decision to stand against injustice or to advocate for a cause we believe in can forge a sense of identity and community. This invites us to consider the ethical dimensions of our choices and how they align with our moral compass. Drawing upon the philosophies of Aristotle, who claimed that virtuous choices lead to eudaimonia, a flourishing life. As we contemplate these complexities, we might find ourselves pondering, are our choices mere reflections of who we are, or do they shape us in ways we cannot fully understand? Perhaps the essence of our humanity lies in the ongoing journey of choice, where every decision we make not only maps our individual paths, but also contributes to the collective narrative of existence. In this shared journey, we can find solace in the uncertainty, knowing that the act of choosing itself fosters growth, exploration, and introspection, leaving us with questions that may linger long after the decision is made. The nature of happiness. Can we cultivate joy amidst difficulties? Imagine standing in a garden, vibrant flowers surrounding you, yet a storm brews on the horizon. The serenity of the moment feels precarious, a reminder that joy often exists alongside adversity. This duality leads us to ponder, can we cultivate happiness even in the face of life's trials? Can joy coexist with suffering, or must one push the other away? At the heart of this inquiry lies a philosophical struggle, one that thinkers like Epicurus and Viktor Frankl have navigated. Epicurus proposed that true happiness stems from simple pleasures like friendship and contemplation, arguing that it is our desires and cravings that often cloud our joy. In our modern world, it becomes easy to drown in a sea of expectations, material pursuits, and fears of inadequacy. Yet, as Epicurus suggests, moments of stillness and appreciation can anchor us to happiness, providing tranquility even during turbulent times. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, took a different approach. He found that meaning, even amidst unbearable suffering, was vital for cultivating joy. In Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl illustrated how those who discovered purpose in their suffering were more likely to endure their trials. His philosophy illuminates how joy can thrive not only through pleasure but through meaning, reminding us that within struggle lies the potential for profound growth and fulfillment. Yet, we might contrast these sentiments with the Stoic teachings of Marcus Aurelius. He emphasized the acceptance of hardship as a part of existence. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control our reactions. By embracing the present moment and focusing on our internal responses, we can find a path to peace, a pathway that encourages joy to rise amid difficulties. Here lies a rich tension, to accept our suffering while simultaneously reaching for joy. In our contemporary lives, the dichotomy of happiness and suffering plays out vividly. We face setbacks in careers, relationships, or health, all of which challenge our sense of well-being. Social media often exacerbates this phenomenon, presenting curated lives that seem devoid of struggle. Yet the stories that resonate most powerfully are those of resilience, individuals finding laughter in despair or meaning in loss. So how do we cultivate joy amidst difficulties? Do we chase happiness as an elusive end goal, or do we embrace it as a dynamic process, one that flourishes when nurtured even in hard times? Can simple appreciation, acceptance, and finding meaning in adversity illuminate paths to joy? As we traverse these questions together, I invite you to consider your own garden of experiences. Are there moments where you can find seeds of happiness sprouting, even as the storm clouds loom? The nature of happiness remains deep and intricate, and perhaps the journey toward understanding it is just as vital as the destination itself. The dream of freedom. What does it mean to be truly free? Imagine waking up in a world where every choice you made was predetermined. Each morning you follow a script written for you, from the coffee you drink to the route you take to work. Your thoughts, desires, and actions are not your own. They are controlled by unseen forces, be they societal expectations, biological impulses, or even a higher power. In this scenario, one might ask, what does it really mean to be free? The concept of freedom has intrigued philosophers for centuries. For Jean-Paul Sartre, freedom is the very essence of human existence. He believed that we are condemned to be free, meaning that with the absence of a predetermined essence, we bear the weight of our choices and their ramifications. This existentialist perspective suggests that true freedom lies in the ability to forge one's path, making choices that shape one's identity and life story. Conversely, the deterministic viewpoint argues that our choices are the products of prior causes. Everything from genetics to culture influences our decision-making. Philosopher Baruch Spinoza contended that freedom is not merely the ability to act without constraints, but understanding and accepting the deterministic nature of the universe. He proposed that by recognizing the causes behind our actions, we achieve a different kind of independence, one rooted in clarity and acceptance rather than illusion. This philosophical tug-of-war is not merely abstract. It echoes through the corridors of contemporary life. We navigate our own lives under layers of societal and cultural expectations that shape our desires, from the careers we pursue to the relationships we nurture. Are we truly free if our ambitions are heavily guided by the standards of social media or family heritage? Consider the pressures faced by young people today, often dictated by the expectation to attend prestigious institutions or secure lucrative careers. In many instances, these influences can drown out the voice of individual passion, leading one to wonder whether true freedom exists when our choices are so deeply intertwined with external validation. Furthermore, freedoms themselves can be paradoxical. The notion of political freedom, for instance, often rests upon the idea of limitations, laws that protect individual rights and freedoms while necessitating sacrifices of other sorts. John Stuart Mill famously argued for liberty, yet even he acknowledged the need for certain constraints to ensure the well-being of society as a whole. So how do we balance personal liberty with collective responsibility? As we ponder these questions, it becomes clear that the idea of freedom is multifaceted. Is being free synonymous with choosing to act on every whim? Or does genuine freedom perhaps involve a deeper understanding of ourselves and the constraints that shape us? In a world filled with distractions and external pressures, the exploration of our own freedom remains an ongoing journey. So as you reflect on your own life and decisions, consider this. How much of your freedom is dictated by self-determined goals, and how much is influenced by the forces around you? In the pursuit of freedom, the exploration may be as important as the destination, inviting us to delve deeper into the intricate weave of choice, consequence, and identity. Perhaps the true essence of freedom lies not in absolute choice, but in the understanding and acceptance of what it means to be human. The role of suffering. Is pain necessary for growth? Picture a young sapling, struggling to grow amidst a fierce storm. The wind bends its slender trunk, the rain lashes against its tender leaves, and yet somehow it endures. As the storm passes, the sapling stands a little taller, its roots digging deeper into the earth. In this moment, we might ask ourselves, is this suffering simply a cruel twist of fate, or is it an essential part of the sapling's journey toward becoming a strong tree? This inquiry touches on a profound philosophical dilemma, whether suffering is an integral component of growth. Many of us have experienced pain in various forms, physical, emotional, or existential. In our darkest moments, we often find ourselves pondering whether such suffering serves a greater purpose, or if it is just random, chaotic misfortune. Ancient thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche argued, for instance, that what does not kill me makes me stronger. Here, one could argue that hardship is not only unavoidable, but perhaps even a catalyst for personal development. However, contrasting perspectives invite us to reflect more deeply. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer famously suggested that suffering is an inherent part of the human experience, a sort of unending cycle of desire and pain. From this viewpoint, pain does not inherently lead to growth. Instead, it accumulates into a tapestry of anguish. The question remains, if growth is a necessary outcome of suffering, how do we reconcile this with the reality of innocuous pain, a child suffering from a disease with no apparent purpose? Modern psychology sheds light on this dilemma, often pointing towards resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity. Research supports the notion that while suffering may encourage personal growth in some, it can have debilitating effects on others. The complexities of trauma reveal that not all pain equates to progress. Some suffering can lead to despair rather than growth. This raises further questions. Should we view growth as a linear progression influenced deeply by suffering, or is it a multifaceted journey, influenced by a confluence of experiences, both good and bad? In contemporary life, we can observe this interplay daily. Think of individuals who turn their trials into triumphs, channeling their pain into art, activism, or personal discovery. Yet we also witness those burdened by suffering who feel trapped in their circumstances, questioning the purpose of their pain. As we reflect on this complex relationship between pain and growth, we are left with an open-ended question. Is suffering indispensable for growth, or does it serve a more ambiguous role in our lives, one that doesn't guarantee transformation? Like the young sapling enduring the tempest, we find ourselves on a journey of discovery, navigating the uncertainties of existence, seeking lessons in our struggles, and pondering the myriad ways we might emerge changed or perhaps unchanged through our experiences. The journey, it seems, invites us to remain curious and reflective as we explore the nature of human experience itself. The quest for identity, navigating who we are in a multicultural world. Imagine standing in a bustling market, surrounded by vibrant colors, scents, and sounds from myriad cultures. You hear laughter in different languages, smell spices from distant lands, and see a tapestry of traditions intermingling. In this melting pot, a simple question arises: who are you amidst this diversity? This quest for identity is a deeply philosophical dilemma that invites us to navigate the complexities of selfhood in a multicultural world. At the heart of this exploration lies the concept of identity, shaped by our personal experiences, cultural backgrounds, and social contexts. Philosophers like Charles Taylor emphasize the importance of recognizing how our identities are formed in dialogue with others. Taylor argues that our individual self is not isolated. It is crafted within the communal narratives that surround us. As we engage with different cultures, we face a dual challenge. On one hand, we are encouraged to embrace aspects of those cultures, enriching our own identities. On the other, we risk losing touch with our origins, creating a dissonance between who we are and who we might become. In contrast, existentialist philosophers, such as Jean-Paul Sartre, propose that identity is essentially a creation of our own making. Sartre famously proclaimed that existence precedes essence, suggesting that we are not born with a predefined identity. Rather, we must consciously choose and redefine ourselves throughout life. In a multicultural context, this perspective empowers us to craft identities that merge the influences of various cultures. Yet it raises the question: if our identities can be freely chosen, to what extent do we owe allegiance to our cultural roots? Modern-day scenarios illuminate this struggle. Consider a second-generation immigrant navigating their cultural heritage while adapting to a new society. They may feel torn between their family's traditions and the desire to fit in. This interplay reflects the notion of hybridity, often discussed by Homi K. Bhabha, who posits that identity is never static, but is always in flux, blending different influences into something unique. The challenge, however, is to understand how these hybrid identities impact our sense of belonging and self-worth. As we ponder the implications of this identity quest, it becomes clear that multiculturalism presents both richness and complexity. The conversation tends to revolve around fluidity and change, yet some also advocate for the preservation of cultural roots, arguing that a strong sense of identity can provide stability in a world that feels ever-changing. The question remains: can we harmoniously blend diverse influences without losing our fundamental selves? The quest for identity in a multicultural world is not a straightforward journey, but rather a rich tapestry of experiences, choices, and challenges. As you reflect on your own identity, consider how it has been shaped by the multitude of voices you encounter. Is your identity a mosaic of cultural influences, or does it more closely resemble a singular narrative? There are no definitive answers, only an invitation to explore the ongoing dialogue between self and society, rooted in the ever-evolving quest for understanding who we truly are. The influence of art. What does creativity tell us about humanity? Imagine standing before a breathtaking painting, each brushstroke echoing emotions you're unable to articulate. Perhaps you're listening to a haunting melody that resonates with your deepest fears or joys, drawing you into a shared yet personal experience. In these moments, you may wonder, what does our capacity for creativity reveal about who we are? Is art merely a reflection of the human experience, or does it dive deeper into the essence of our existence? This question invites us to explore the philosophical nature of art and creativity. Renowned philosopher Leo Tolstoy suggested that true art is a means of communication, a bridge between souls that evokes empathy and shared understanding. The emotions captured on canvas or expressed through music transcend individual experiences, connecting us in profound ways. Yet, if art is a reflection of humanity's collective spirit, one must ponder, does it define us, or are we merely interpreting our existence through creative lenses? Contrasting views emerge from thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche, who posited that art is an expression of the will to power, a means to assert one's existence in an indifferent universe. For Nietzsche, the creation of art is a vital act of self-affirmation, a defiance against the chaos of life. This perspective emphasizes individual struggle, creativity birthed from personal turmoil, leading us to consider how much of art is a response to suffering and conflict. In our modern landscape, creativity flourishes amid the chaos of daily life. From digital art to social media platforms, artists share their visions, often influenced by societal issues like climate change, disenfranchisement, and mental health challenges. Who can forget the moving street art that protests injustice, or the songs that boost resilience during difficult times? This demonstrates that art still holds profound relevance, emerging not just as a product of individual talent, but as a collective response to contemporary dilemmas. Yet, as we navigate through these artistic expressions, we might still grapple with the weighty question of authenticity. Does art retain its value when created for monetary gain or popular approval? Or is the beauty of creativity littered with layers of intent that shape its meaning? Philosophers like Arthur Danto have posited that the interpretation of art evolves within its context, suggesting that the value we derive from creativity transcends mere aesthetics. As we wander through the intricate relationship between art and humanity, we find ourselves at the intersection of intention, emotion, and experience. Does the influence of creativity point to our deepest truths, our desires, or our fears? Perhaps the answer lies not in a singular conclusion, but in the ongoing dialogue art inspires. Each brushstroke, melody, and word craft a narrative inviting varied interpretations, leaving us with endless questions that speak to our shared humanity. What, then, do you take away from the art that touches your soul? How does it shape your understanding of what it means to be human? The weight of words, how language shapes our thoughts. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. Each wave that crashes against the shore represents a word, each a unique drop of water contributing to a complex and ever-changing landscape. What if I told you that the very language we use not only conveys our thoughts, but shapes the very essence of those thoughts? The interplay between language and cognition raises profound questions. Does our choice of words limit the way we perceive reality, or does it open new horizons of understanding? The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis invites us into this exploration, suggesting that the structure of a language affects its speaker's worldview and cognition. The belief that language can influence thought is both tantalizing and troubling. If certain concepts find no place in our language, does that mean they cannot exist in our minds? Consider the differing words for snow in Inuit languages. Could their intricate terminology allow them to perceive nuances of this frozen substance that we, with our limited vocabulary, might miss? Yet contrasting philosophical perspectives challenge this view. Thinkers like Noam Chomsky argue for the universality of human thought, positing an innate linguistic structure hardwired into our brains. According to this perspective, while language enriches our communication, the core of human thought transcends the words we choose. Could it be that our cognitive wellsprings flow freely, only trickling through the narrow channels of language? In modern contexts, these philosophical dilemmas become palpable. The contentious debates surrounding political correctness illustrate how language dictates social perception. Terms that once flew under the radar can now either uplift or oppress, reflecting shifts in cultural understanding. As we navigate conversations about gender, race, and identity, we find ourselves grappling with the implications of our language. Words can empower, and they can harm. They can unite, and they can divide. Consider the rise of social media, where language is distilled into bite-sized phrases. In this digital realm, the brevity of tweets and posts often sacrifices nuance for impact. Are we becoming enslaved by the limits of our linguistic devices? Or, conversely, are we gaining a new form of expression that transcends traditional boundaries? The answer eludes us, as the very medium reshapes our collective dialogue. As we arrive at the end of our reflection, we're left with the vast ocean before us, an invitation to ponder further. How do the words we use mirror our beliefs, biases, and realities? Do they elevate our thoughts, or do they box them in? In this intricate dance between language and perception, perhaps the greatest truth lies not in finding a definitive answer, but in acknowledging that our connection to language shapes our inner worlds and the connections we forge with others. The journey continues, and with each word, we venture deeper into the vastness of thought. The journey of forgiveness, letting go of anger and resentment. Imagine a river flowing steadily through a landscape of vivid colors and gentle whispers of nature. Along the banks, stones bear the imprints of time, weathered by the currents of water. Now picture one of those stones, deeply etched with anger and resentment. Things done to us, words left unsaid, injustices that linger long after the moment has passed. This stone, heavy with emotion, becomes a burden, dragging us deeper into its depths as we cling to our pain. Forgiveness then emerges as a pivotal dilemma, one that brings with it a sought-after release, but is often tangled with our desire for justice. Philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche contend that forgiveness can undermine the value of our struggles, arguing that resentment is a natural response to wrongs that empowers us. Yet, in contrast, thinkers like Desmond Tutu advocate for forgiveness as an essential part of healing, not just for the perpetrator, but for ourselves, the wounded souls caught in anguish. Tutu suggests that forgiveness leads to deeper compassion, offering a chance to reshape the narrative of our lives. The act of forgiving is steeped in moral philosophy, prompting questions about accountability. If we forgive, do we excuse the wrongdoer? Perhaps we perceive forgiveness as an act of generosity, freeing ourselves from the chains of anger that bind us. Yet in grappling with this release, we must acknowledge the reality that forgiveness does not invoke a painless erasure of the past. It transforms our relationship with it. In modern contexts, from personal relationships to societal injustices, the act of letting go of resentment becomes a delicate dance of necessity. Consider the recent societal awakenings surrounding issues of racial injustice and systemic oppression. The conversations around forgiveness in these spaces often uncover a spectrum of opinions. Some advocate for reconciliation as a pathway toward unity, while others emphasize the urgency of accountability before any forgiveness can occur. How does one forgive when the wounds are still raw and justice feels unfulfilled? Moreover, forgiveness can encourage personal discovery. Renowned psychiatrist Carl Jung posited that holding on to anger can distort our understanding of ourselves, inhibiting growth. In this light, forgiveness transforms into a journey, a pilgrimage we undertake not to condone, but to reclaim our inner peace. Yet the question lingers, are we ever truly ready to forgive? Can we find peace without sacrificing our right to feel hurt? Perhaps there is no definitive conclusion to be drawn. Instead, forgiveness beckons us to explore the depths of our hearts, challenging us to contemplate what it means to be human. As we navigate our emotions, we may find that in letting go of the weights we carry, we open ourselves to a lighter existence, navigating the ever-flowing river of life, unencumbered by the stones of resentment. So where does your journey of forgiveness begin? The voices of the past, how history influences our present. Imagine standing in a bustling marketplace from 1,000 years ago, the air thick with the scent of spices and the sounds of vibrant conversation. As you move through the crowd, each person carries with them not only their own thoughts and emotions, but also the echoes of countless generations who came before them. How much of their lives, their beliefs, and their choices are shaped by the voices of the past? And how does this history resonate in our own present, perhaps steering our thoughts and actions even in ways we don't fully comprehend? This contemplation brings us to the philosophical dilemma of how deeply history influences our present. One might wonder if we are merely vessels for the thoughts and values handed down to us, or if we possess the autonomy to redefine our identities, beliefs, and futures. The ancient philosopher Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel posited that history is a rational process, where the unfolding of events leads to the development of human consciousness and freedom. From this view, our present is a direct continuation of past moments, woven together into the fabric of progress. Yet contrasting perspectives emerge in the thoughts of Friedrich Nietzsche, who challenged the notion of historical determinism. Nietzsche famously proclaimed, God is dead, suggesting that the values of the past could no longer serve as absolute truths for the contemporary individual. Through the lens of existentialism, we might question whether every generation has the capacity to break free from the chains of past ideologies, forging their path with new meanings and interpretations of existence. As we reflect on this dilemma today, consider the way historical narratives shape our understanding of identity, culture, and morality. The influence of colonialism, for instance, continues to reverberate through societies, manifesting in economic disparities and cultural tensions across the globe. Similarly, the legacy of civil rights movements serves as a compass, guiding contemporary discussions on equality and justice. Do we confront our history as a weight that binds us, or as a repository of lessons from which we can draw strength and wisdom? We find ourselves standing at the intersection of history and the present day. Our beliefs, choices, and attitudes are often silent inheritances from those who walked before us. The philosopher Michel Foucault argued that power is omnipresent, shaping our thoughts and actions in ways we often fail to notice. This prompts us to ask, are we truly the architects of our lives, or are we unwittingly enacting the scripts written by our predecessors? As you ponder these possibilities, consider the great tapestry of human experience, woven with the threads of triumphs, failures, and the collective human spirit. As you navigate your own identity in this vast continuum, reflect on how the voices of the past resonate within you. Will you carry forward the stories, traumas, and wisdom, or will you seek to rewrite the narrative for future generations? In the end, the questions we ask today may ripple through time, as our present becomes the history of tomorrow, a likely reminder that the influence of the past never truly fades. The impact of technology. Are we more connected or isolated? Imagine a young woman, seated in a bustling cafe, scrolling through her phone, surrounded by several groups engaged in animated conversation. Despite the lively atmosphere, she feels a profound sense of loneliness, a disconnect that permeates her digital connections with friends and family. This scenario leads us to a rich philosophical dilemma. In this age of technology, have we truly enhanced our connections, or have we inadvertently isolated ourselves? As we navigate this digital landscape, the philosophical insights of thinkers like Martin Heidegger and Soren Kierkegaard echo more loudly than ever. Heidegger's notion of being with others highlights our inherent social nature, suggesting that genuine connections enrich our existence. However, he cautions against technological mediation, which may create a facade of connectedness, leaving us feeling more isolated than before. Are we merely existing alongside each other, rather than truly engaging? Kierkegaard, with his focus on individual experience and the angst of modern existence, offers another lens through which to view our predicament. He posits that the individual might feel lost and undefined in a sea of choices and voices, a phenomenon exacerbated by the constant barrage of social media. The question arises, does the endless scrolling of posts, curated images, and fleeting interactions fuel our connection or deepen our isolation? Contrasting views also emerge in contemporary discourse. Many argue that technology has democratized communication, allowing relationships to flourish beyond geographical barriers. Families separated by miles can share moments seamlessly. Friendships can thrive regardless of distance. Thinkers like Jürgen Habermas advocate for the public sphere's expansion through digital means, a space where dialogue can flourish and voices can be heard. Yet, a counterpoint lies in the understanding that while technology connects us, it may do so superficially. The philosopher Sherry Turkle warns that our devices can lead to connection without conversation, creating an illusion of intimacy while robbing us of genuine human encounters. Does the number of likes and followers genuinely replace the warmth of a shared moment, or does it simply distract us from our yearning for authentic connection? In the midst of this digital duality, we confront real-world implications. Studies suggest that increased screen time correlates with rising levels of anxiety and depression, especially among younger generations. Perhaps, while we are constantly connected, we fail to nurture the very relationships that bring us joy and solace. As we engage with technology, we must ask ourselves, are we fostering authentic relationships, or are we merely filling the space with digital interactions? As we ponder the intersection of technology and connection, we are left with more questions than answers. In our quest for connection in a world increasingly dominated by screens, we must reflect on the nature of our interactions. Are we truly connecting, or have we unwittingly chosen isolation amidst the illusion of togetherness? In this complex landscape, the journey of inquiry continues, inviting us to embrace moments of stillness and contemplation in our search for authentic connection. The beauty of imperfection, embracing flaws in ourselves and others. Imagine walking through an art gallery where every single painting is flawless, colors perfectly blended, lines impeccably straight. At first, you may think you are experiencing beauty, but soon an unsettling thought emerges. Where is the heart? Where is the story? This leads us to a profound philosophical question. Is there beauty in imperfection? The concept of beauty has long fascinated philosophers. For the ancient Greeks, beauty was tied to symmetry and perfection, encapsulated by Plato's idea of a perfect form. Yet consider the Japanese aesthetic of wabi-sabi, which celebrates transience and the beauty of the imperfect and incomplete. In this view, cracks in pottery or asymmetrical shapes are not flaws but expressions of authenticity, the artifacts of life itself. Wabi-sabi invites us to find beauty in the simplistic, the aged, and the unconventional. In contemporary times, the beauty of imperfection resonates deeply with our understanding of self-acceptance. Many individuals struggle with societal pressures to conform to an idealized image of perfection, often leading to a sense of inadequacy. Philosophers such as Søren Kierkegaard have championed the idea of embracing the self in its entirety, flaws and all, suggesting that true authenticity emerges through acknowledging our imperfections. This journey towards self-acceptance invites a kind of introspective reflection. Who are we beyond the veneer of perfection that society espouses? Moreover, this dilemma extends into our relationships with others. When we form connections, it is often the shared vulnerabilities, the quirks, and the flaws that forge the deepest bonds. Think of a moment when a friend confides in you, revealing their insecurities. This act is not a demonstration of weakness, but rather an exhibition of courage, a testament to the beauty of being authentic. The philosopher Emmanuel Levinas emphasized the ethics of meeting the other, encouraging us to see and appreciate those imperfections that make each individual unique. In the realm of modern psychology, the concept of embracing imperfection finds support in works like Brené Brown's exploration of vulnerability. Brown argues that accepting our imperfections is vital to our overall well-being, highlighting how resilience flourishes in spaces where we are willing to show our true selves. This perspective aligns with the ancient wisdom of letting go, an idea reflected in various spiritual traditions that teach us to release unattainable expectations and embrace the ever-changing nature of existence. Yet, despite this rich tapestry of thought, we may find ourselves grappling with an open-ended question. How do we cultivate a genuine appreciation for the imperfections in ourselves and others amidst a world that often idolizes flawlessness? The journey of embracing imperfection is ongoing, inviting us into a space of contemplation and dialogue about what it truly means to be human. Like the delicate cracks in a piece of pottery, our flaws may become the pathways to deeper understanding, allowing us to connect more fully with ourselves and those around us. As we ponder this journey, let us ask ourselves, how might we begin to see beauty in the imperfect today? The idea of self, are we defined by our experiences? Imagine a person waking up one day with no memory of their past. Their name is gone, along with the memories that shaped their identity. They look in the mirror and see a stranger staring back. Who are they without their history? Can we truly know ourselves, or are we mere collections of experiences shaped and molded by the lives we lead? As we peel back the layers of our identities, the question emerges, are we defined by our experiences, or is there a deeper essence of self that remains untouched by life's circumstances? This philosophical inquiry delves into the intricate relationship between experience and identity. One could consider the views of John Locke, who proposed that personal identity is connected to consciousness and memory. According to Locke, we are the sum of our experiences. The continuity of consciousness defines who we are. If we forget our past, could we claim to be the same person? This perspective suggests that our identity is fluid and subject to change, shaped over time by the events we encounter and the choices we make. On the contrary, existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre argue that existence precedes essence. Sartre posited that humans are thrust into existence without a predetermined essence, and it is through the choices we make that we define ourselves. This implies a profound freedom but also a weighty responsibility. If we create our identity through our actions, then our experiences become vital, yet without defining us entirely, as we always have the power to redefine who we are at any moment. In our modern context, the digital age complicates this discourse even further. Social media platforms create a curated identity, an online persona shaped by the experiences we choose to share. Are we defined by these digital experiences, or do they obscure our true selves? This phenomenon raises important questions about the authenticity of our identities in a space where self-presentation is often manipulated. Are we more than our online profiles, or do these curated narratives reflect genuine aspects of who we are? As we consider the fragmented nature of identity through the lens of trauma, mental illness, and cultural displacement, we confront another layer of complexity. For those who have suffered greatly, these experiences can become inseparable from their sense of self. The concept of trauma as a defining factor, seen in the works of philosophers like Judith Herman, invites us to ponder whether we are ever fully free from the marks left on us by painful experiences, or if we can transcend them to discover a core self. Ultimately, the idea of self remains a beautifully complex tapestry, woven from the threads of our experiences, choices, and contexts. Yet, the pulse of inquiry lingers. If our experiences shape our identities, can we ever truly escape their influence? Or is there a deeper self that resonates beneath the surface of our lived histories, waiting to be discovered? Let these questions swirl in your thoughts, inviting you to reflect on your own sense of self as a fluid and evolving narrative. The role of nature, how the environment shapes our being. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast forest, the towering trees whispering ancient secrets as the sunlight filters gently through the leaves. In that serene moment, a question arises. To what extent does our environment shape who we are? Are we mere products of our surroundings, or do we possess the agency to transcend them? This dilemma invites us to explore the intricate relationship between human identity and nature, revealing profound philosophical implications. Philosophers throughout history have grappled with this very question. Jean-Jacques Rousseau posited that civilization corrupts the innate goodness of humanity. In his view, the natural state of human beings fosters compassion and freedom, suggesting that our environments, especially those cultivated by society, can distort our true selves. Conversely, Thoreau's reflections on living intimately with nature in Walden illuminate how nature can be a source of profound insight and personal development. For Thoreau, immersion in the natural world is not merely pleasant. It is essential for cultivating a deeper understanding of oneself and society. However, contrasts arise. Friedrich Nietzsche challenged the notion that humanity is fundamentally shaped by nature or society, arguing instead for the power of the individual will. While he acknowledged the influence of our surroundings, Nietzsche believed that each person has the capacity to redefine themselves beyond environmental constraints. This perspective encourages us to contemplate how much control we truly have over our identities and destinies. The implications of this philosophical inquiry stretch into our modern lives, where discussions around sustainability, climate change, and urban development have become increasingly urgent. As industrialization continues to envelop our landscapes, many find themselves questioning the disconnection from nature. Environmental psychologists note the mental health benefits associated with time spent in green spaces, suggesting that our well-being is intricately tied to our environment. The stark reality of urbanization beckons a return to nature, igniting debates about the ethical responsibility we hold in preserving our natural surroundings for future generations. Yet we must ponder how deeply our identity is intertwined with our environment. Are we merely the sum of our experiences, or is there a more profound existential essence that operates independently of external factors? Some existentialists propose that while our environment influences us, it cannot wholly determine our essence. We are, in a sense, both shaped by and shaping our surroundings, an ever-evolving dance. As we meander through these thoughts, the question lingers: how do we navigate the delicate interplay between nature and identity in our lives today? Are we passive recipients of our environmental influences, or are we active participants in sculpting our reality? This contemplation offers no definitive answers, but invites us to continue reflecting on our intrinsic connection to the world around us, a journey that beckons us to respect, nurture, and be shaped by the very nature we often take for granted. The complexity of relationships, love, friendship, and everything in between. Imagine standing at a crossroads where two paths emerge. One leads to the enchanting realm of romantic love, filled with passion, joy, and the promise of companionship. The other winds its way through the serene landscape of friendship, characterized by trust, loyalty, and shared experiences. As you ponder which path to take, a question surfaces. What truly defines the essence of our relationships, and how do love and friendship intertwine in the tapestry of human connection? Navigating the complexities of relationships invites us to explore deep philosophical dilemmas that have captivated thinkers through the ages. Philosophers like Plato and Aristotle contemplated love, proposing that it exists on a spectrum from physical attraction to a higher, more transcendent form. Plato, in his dialogue Symposium, suggested that love can lead us to the pursuit of beauty and truth. But does that imply that romantic love is more valuable than the bonds of friendship? Or could friendship, in its authenticity and stability, hold a unique significance in our lives? The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche challenged the notion of unconditional love, suggesting that our attachments might be influenced by underlying power dynamics. Love can both uplift and enslave, making it a complex force at play in our relationships. In contrast, philosopher Martin Buber introduced the idea of the he-thou relationship, emphasizing mutual recognition and respect between individuals. He argued that true connection comes when we see each other not as objects, but as whole beings. This perspective invites us to reassess how we experience love and friendship, highlighting that both can coexist without diminishing one another. In modern times, we find ourselves entangled in these intricate webs of connection more than ever. Social media has redefined friendship, allowing us to connect with others across vast distances. Yet with this new ease of communication comes a question: can the friendships formed online truly compare to those nurtured face-to-face? The distinction becomes increasingly blurred as we navigate virtual landscapes, searching for solace and understanding. While technology may enhance our ability to connect, it also raises questions about the depth and quality of those connections. As we delve into the foundations of relationships, we might wonder if love demands sacrifice and if friendship requires effort. Some argue that love is a conscious choice, an act of will. Others believe that true friendship embodies a spontaneity that requires little maintenance. What then is the measure of a meaningful relationship? Is it the intensity of passion or the comfort of companionship? As we ponder these reflections, we may find ourselves entrapped in an endless cycle of questions with no singular answers. Love, friendship, and everything in between resonate with our souls, weaving a narrative that is both beautiful and challenging. Perhaps the most profound realization lies in the journey itself, one that invites us to explore our connections with others while embracing the uncertainty of the human experience. What are your thoughts on the delicate balance between love and friendship? How do these relationships shape your understanding of yourself and the world around you? The search for meaning. What gives our lives purpose? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, serene lake, the sun setting gently on the horizon. As the shimmering waters reflect the fading light, you might wonder, what gives our lives purpose? This introspective question has haunted humanity for centuries, stirring the hearts and minds of philosophers, writers, and seekers alike. The quest for meaning often leads us through a labyrinth of ideas. For existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus, life's inherent lack of meaning is the starting point. They propose that in a universe indifferent to our existence, it becomes our responsibility to forge our own purpose. Sartre famously declared, "Existence precedes essence," implying that we do not arrive in this world with a predefined purpose. Rather, we create our essence through our choices. This notion can be liberating, suggesting that our lives' value lies not in predetermined paths, but in our ability to shape our own destinies. Conversely, Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, posits that meaning is not something we create alone, but something we discover in our interactions, struggles, and relationships. In his seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl argues that even amidst profound suffering, we can find purpose in love, work, or acts of kindness. His experiences in concentration camps revealed that those who found meaning in their suffering were more likely to survive. This perspective invites us to consider that meaning isn't always self-generated. It can emerge through our connections and encounters. In today's world, the search for purpose has evolved, yet remains deeply relevant. Many grapple with the existential weight of modern life, pressured by career goals, societal expectations, and the relentless advance of technology. The rise of social media invites constant comparison, often leaving individuals feeling lost or inadequate. Here, the ideas of both existentialism and Frankl's search for meaning resonate. Are we using these platforms to define our purpose, or are we instead allowing them to dictate our identity? As we journey through life, the search for meaning can also lead to moments of deep introspection, where silence becomes a blank canvas for our thoughts. This introspection invites us to evaluate what truly matters: relationships, personal passions, a heartfelt contribution to the community. The process of reflection itself can carve paths of understanding, helping us sift through the chaos of modern existence. And yet, the undeniable truth remains. There may be no one-size-fits-all answer to what gives our lives purpose. Perhaps the beauty of this inquiry lies in its open-endedness. As we contemplate our individual journeys and the myriad of experiences that shape us, we find solace in the realization that the search is, in itself, a form of meaning. So, as you stand before that tranquil lake, allow your thoughts to drift like the gentle ripples on the surface, embracing the question rather than the answer, and inviting curiosity into your exploration of life's purpose. The fabric of reality. Are we living in a simulation? Imagine waking up one day to discover that your entire life, a tapestry of experiences, relationships, and emotions, has been nothing more than an elaborate simulation, leading you to question every choice you've ever made. This conceptual leap into the unknown invites us to explore a fascinating philosophical dilemma. Could our reality be a simulation? This inquiry delves beyond mere science fiction, challenging the essence of existence itself. This question, popularized by figures like philosopher Nick Bostrom, ignites a profound debate. He posits that if technological civilization could eventually create highly advanced simulations indistinguishable from reality, it's statistically likely that we might be living in one of those simulations. This idea echoes the ancient philosophical musings of Descartes, who pondered whether our senses could be trusted. If the very fabric of our perceived reality could be fabricated, then what does that say about our knowledge and existence? Contrasting this perspective is the notion of a real reality, championed by philosophers like Immanuel Kant, who argued that our experiences, though filtered through human perception, connected us to an objective world. For Kant, our mental frameworks shape how we interpret reality, yet he maintains that there is something independent from us. But in a simulated world, even this objective reality could be an illusion, crafted by unseen hands, manipulating experiences and emotions for reasons unknown to us. In modern society, this hypothetical dilemma gains resonance through our increasingly digital existence. Virtual realities and sophisticated video games blur the lines between simulation and reality. Consider how social media shapes perceptions, creating simulated environments where identities are curated and interactions are often staged. Are we not, in a sense, navigating a digital simulation? This leads us to contemplate the profound implications of living in a simulated reality. How might it influence our behaviors, ethics, and understanding of self? Yet, amidst the tantalizing possibilities lie questions of agency and meaning. If our lives are mere constructs, do our choices bear any weight? The existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre would argue that even if we are trapped within a simulation, we have the power to create meaning through our choices. But can we genuinely claim agency when our very nature might be engineered? The challenge of recognizing our role within a potentially artificial framework invites us to reassess the relationships we form with ourselves and the world around us. As we ponder these concepts, we find ourselves drawn into a universe of uncertainty. Are we players in a grand simulation, or do we exist in a fundamental reality? This question ultimately invites us to reflect not only on the nature of existence, but on our capacity for meaning-making, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in. The journey into this philosophical dilemma brings us closer to understanding the very essence of what it means to live, to search, and perhaps to dream. What will you choose to believe, and how will you continue to navigate your own reality? The Dance of Solitude, finding comfort in being alone. Imagine a quiet room, softly illuminated by fading sunlight. You sit comfortably in a chair. The world outside continues its hurried rhythm, but here, in this moment of solitude, time seems to stretch. In this stillness, a question unfurls. Is being alone a source of comfort or a haunting echo of isolation? The philosophy of solitude invites us to delve deep into the intricate dance between being alone and feelings of loneliness. Existentialist thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre explore the notion of solitude as an inescapable part of human existence. Sartre posits that we are condemned to be free, emphasizing that our choices define us, even in moments of isolation. This freedom allows us to embrace solitude as a canvas for self-exploration, rich with potential. Could it be that within these solitary moments, we discover our authentic selves, free from societal expectations? Contrastingly, Martin Heidegger presents a different perspective, suggesting that solitude can lead to feelings of existential angst. In his work, he describes the uncanniness of being alone, a reminder of our mortality and a confrontation with the vastness of existence. Here, solitude becomes a space of disquiet rather than clarity, prompting a deeper inquiry. Can we find peace in the face of such overwhelming solitude? In modern life, we often grapple with these philosophical dilemmas as technology creates paradoxes in our relationships. Social media connects us to countless others, yet many report feeling lonelier than ever. This duality begs us to ponder, is true connection found in companionship, or does it bloom in moments of solitude? The writer and philosopher Henry David Thoreau sought solace in nature, famously stating, "I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude." Thoreau's retreat to Walden Pond serves as a testament to the potential growth that solitude can foster. In contrast, contemporary psychology offers insight into the mental health aspects of loneliness, suggesting that while solitude can be therapeutic, prolonged loneliness can lead to despair. Thus, the Dance of Solitude reveals itself as a complex interplay of comfort and isolation. Embracing solitude, we may nurture creativity, clarity, and introspection. Yet, we must also recognize its potential to evoke feelings of emptiness and contemplation of existence. This reflection calls for a balance, the ability to cherish our own company while nurturing connections with others. In this quiet exploration, we are reminded that being alone need not be equated with loneliness. Instead, it can serve as an invitation to turn inward, to reflect on our thoughts, emotions, and aspirations. As you sit in your own quiet moment, ask yourself, how do you navigate the delicate boundaries between solitude and loneliness? The answers may surprise you, for the journey into the depths of solitude is one that invites endless reflection, urging us to quietly embrace both the comforting and unsettling aspects of our own company. The concept of time, living in the moment versus planning for the future. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, tranquil lake at dawn, the glassy water reflecting the soft hues of the rising sun. In this moment, you feel an overwhelming sense of peace and contentment. Yet as you breathe in the crisp morning air, the thoughts of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's uncertainties cascade into your mind. Do you hold on to this beautiful moment, fully embracing the now, or do you begin strategizing for the future, hoping to orchestrate a better life ahead? This delicate balance between living in the moment and planning for the future presents a profound philosophical dilemma. On one hand, existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre advocate for the importance of individual experience and the immediacy of life. For him, the here and now holds the essence of our existence, guiding us to make choices based on our current feelings and desires. To dwell excessively on the future might distract us from the beauty of the present, stripping us of genuine experience. In contrast, Stoic philosophers like Seneca encourage a thoughtful anticipation of the future. They advocate for planning and reflection as essential components of a virtuous life. From this perspective, the future is a canvas on which we can paint our desired reality through deliberate actions today. To adopt a passive approach toward life can lead to regret when opportunities slip by, or when the unforeseen circumstances of existence catch us off guard. In today's fast-paced world, this dilemma is more relevant than ever. The pressures of modern life often push us to prioritize future goals, career advancements, financial security, or personal achievements. We fill our schedules with tasks and deadlines, sometimes losing sight of the fleeting beauty found in everyday moments. Our devices buzz with notifications, demanding our attention and whisking us away from the richness of the present. Yet amidst this noise, we can find gentle reminders to pause, breathe, and savor our surroundings. It is in these moments that we forge connections, with ourselves, with others, and with our environment. Conversely, consider the consequences of neglecting our future. Without plans or goals, we might drift into a life void of direction, succumbing to the casual whims of existence. This tension raises the question, is a well-planned future worth the price of a present unexamined? As you ponder this intricate dance between presence and planning, notice how both elements can coexist. Perhaps, in cherishing the present moment, we find inspiration to shape our future. And while we strategize for what lies ahead, we can hold on to the wisdom that each day is a precious gift, fragile, fleeting, and deserving of our full attention. So as you stand by the lake, breathe deeply and let the tranquility wash over you. Reflect on the moments that shape your existence, the choices you face, and allow the unfolding journey to guide your understanding of the balance between living now and envisioning what may come. Where will this balance lead you today? The weight of expectations, freeing ourselves from social norms. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, gazing down at the vast sea below. The waves crash against the rocks, powerful and relentless. One step forward could plunge you into that churning abyss, an act of freeing yourself from the weight of the world that weighs so heavily on your shoulders. But what if you hesitated? What if the fear of plunging into the unknown kept you rooted in place, bound by the expectations of others, the voices telling you how to live, what to aspire to, and who to be? This is the dilemma of expectations, a quandary woven into the very fabric of our existence. The societal norms that shape our lives can provide guidance, but they can also box us in, stifling our true selves. Philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre have grappled with this tension in the concept of bad faith, where individuals deny their own freedom by conforming to societal roles instead of embracing their authentic selves. Sartre urges us to ditch the masks we wear to please others and to confront the fear that often paralyzes our desire for genuine freedom. Contrastingly, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us that we should focus solely on what is within our control, our thoughts and actions. He argues that while we can't always dictate the expectations others hold for us, we can choose how we respond to those expectations. This perspective invites a liberating exploration of acceptance and resilience in the face of societal pressures. But what becomes of our individuality when we strive simply to fulfill these external standards, even when they become a source of discontent? In modern society, the weight of expectations manifests vividly through social media, where curated lives often distract us with the lure of perfection. We scroll through images of success, happiness, and beauty, feeling a sense of inadequacy as we compare our reality to these polished illusions. This distortion vividly illustrates the struggle for authenticity. Are we chasing dreams that are truly our own, or are we merely striving to meet fabricated ideals? Philosopher Michel Foucault addresses power structures inherent in societal expectations, suggesting that our desire to conform is both a response to and a reinforcement of these norms. As we navigate this intricate landscape of social pressure, consider the possibility of redefining what success and fulfillment mean to you, untethered from society's often rigid definitions. What if stepping away from those expectations could lead you to a more profound understanding of your purpose? How might your life change if you chose to embrace the messy, imperfect journey of being true to yourself, rather than adhering to the sleek narratives that others have crafted. Ultimately, the quest for freedom from expectations invites us to confront those hidden parts of ourselves that we've long ignored. It is a journey fraught with uncertainty, yet profoundly enriching. As you ponder these questions, allow yourself to drift into those thoughts and sensations, exploring what lies beyond the cliff's edge, the world of possibilities waiting for you to embrace. What does it mean for you to shed the weight of expectations and step into your own authentic narrative? The path may be unclear, but perhaps that very uncertainty is where true freedom begins. The mystery of dreams. What do they reveal about us? Imagine a solitary evening, the world outside enveloped in darkness, as you lie beneath the soft embrace of your blanket. The gentle whispers of sleep begin to weave their spell, and soon you find yourself drifting into a realm where the ordinary fades away and the fantastical takes center stage. You encounter figures from your past, navigate surreal landscapes, or experience emotions so intense they feel unmistakably real. What do these dreams mean? What truths do they unveil about our inner selves? This enigma of dreams slumbers at the crossroads of philosophy and psychology. Renowned thinkers like Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung explored this domain, asserting that dreams are more than mere nighttime distractions. Freud proposed that dreams serve as doorways to our unconscious desires, hidden fears, and repressed memories. He viewed them as symbolic messages from within, suggesting that understanding our dreams could lead to profound self-discovery. Jung expanded this idea, introducing the notion of the collective unconscious, arguing that dreams connect us to shared human archetypes that transcend individual experience. Yet dream interpretation is not universally accepted. Philosophers like René Descartes famously questioned whether dreams could even offer reliable insights into our reality. His skepticism highlights the distinction between the dream state and waking life. How can we trust the meanings derived from dreams when they blur the lines between truth and illusion? Furthermore, modern neuroscience approaches dreams through the lens of cognitive function, suggesting that they may serve practical purposes, such as problem-solving or memory consolidation, rather than delving into our psyche's depths. In today's fast-paced world, we often overlook the significance of our dreams. The daily grind can dull our awareness of these nocturnal narratives, leading us to dismiss them as mere figments. However, dreaming can act as a mirror, reflecting anxieties or wishes we might not confront while awake. Consider the dream of a soaring flight or a plummeting fall. Both can echo our innermost desires or fears, urging us to listen more closely to our emotions. As we navigate our waking lives, what if we allowed ourselves to reflect on our dreams more intentionally? Could this practice foster a deeper understanding of ourselves and our connections to others? As 21st century thinkers explore mindfulness and emotional intelligence, integrating dream analysis into self-reflection might enrich our journeys towards self-discovery. In the quiet moments before dawn, as twilight fades and reality begins its return, we are left with a tantalizing mystery. What do our dreams reveal about us? Are they merely echoes of experience, or are they profound insights waiting to be unraveled? As we continue our wanderings through waking and sleeping, perhaps the real question lies not in finding definitive answers, but in embracing the mystery itself, allowing it to guide us gently towards self-awareness and understanding. The art of letting go, embracing impermanence in life. Imagine standing on a beach, feeling the cool grains of sand between your toes as the tide ebbs and flows. With each wave that crashes upon the shore, little treasures scatter and disappear, leaving no trace behind. In this moment, one cannot help but wonder, what if life itself is as transient as these glimmering shells carried away by the water? The seas of our existence are in constant motion, and we, like those shells, are caught in the relentless tide of impermanence. What does it truly mean to let go, to accept that everything we cherish is momentary? This contemplation invites us into a deep philosophical exploration of the nature of existence itself. The concept of impermanence has been central to many philosophical traditions, especially within Buddhism, where it is said that all conditioned things are impermanent. This idea urges us to see life not as a series of possessions or moments to cling to, but as a beautiful tapestry woven together from fleeting experiences. Yet, can we embrace this notion without succumbing to despair? Contrasting perspectives come into play here. The Stoics, such as Epictetus and Seneca, taught the value of accepting things as they are. They believed that suffering arises not from the loss itself, but from our attachment to the things we inevitably lose. By focusing instead on our responses and cultivating an inner strength, we can learn the art of letting go. In this view, acceptance isn't passive submission. It is a proactive choice to find peace amidst life's transience. Yet modernity seems to contradict this ancient wisdom. In a world increasingly driven by consumerism and an unyielding desire for permanence, we often cling to fleeting happiness, believing that it is achievable through material acquisition or social status. The philosopher Alain de Botton reflects on this in his examinations of modern love and relationships, remarking on how our societal pressures can lead us to view connections as possessions, rather than ephemeral moments of beauty that enrich our lives. As we navigate through life, we encounter countless opportunities to practice letting go. Consider personal relationships, career aspirations, or even our own self-image. Each attachment bears the weight of potential loss, and often, when faced with the prospect of change, we find ourselves gripped with anxiety. Yet what if we reframed the idea of loss? What if letting go could be seen not just as an ending, but as a necessary clearing of space to welcome new experiences? And so we find ourselves at the heart of our inquiry. How might we live more fully in the present, embracing the impermanence around and within us? Perhaps the answer lies in cultivating an attitude of gratitude, finding joy in fleeting moments without the burden of expectation. The truth is, while we may never find a definitive answer, we can, in every breath and heartbeat, reflect on the beauty of our journeys, choosing to see life's transience not as a source of sorrow, but as an invitation to savor every ephemeral instant. What then does your heart wish to let go of today in order to embrace the vibrant tapestry of life? The power of perspective, seeing the world through different lenses. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast canyon, the sun setting behind the jagged cliffs, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet. As you gaze into the depths below, a child beside you asks, "Is the canyon beautiful or terrifying?" This simple question invites us to explore a profound philosophical dilemma. How does our perspective shape our understanding of the world around us? The nature of reality often feels immutable, yet it is perceived through the unique lenses of our individual experiences. Some philosophies, like the existentialist views of Jean-Paul Sartre, suggest that we are free to define our own existence within this vast landscape, affecting our understanding of everything, including beauty and fear. From an existentialist perspective, the child's question highlights the subjectivity inherent in all experiences. What one person views as awe-inspiring, another may see as daunting. Contrast this with the pragmatism of William James, who argued that our beliefs and perceptions are less about an objective reality and more about what works for us in practical terms. If believing the canyon is beautiful encourages exploration and joy, while fearing it leads to retreat, both views may hold validity depending on the person's circumstances. In this sense, our perspectives are not just lenses, they are tools that help us navigate life's complexities. To illustrate further, think about the recent global pandemic. Some viewed isolation as a setback, a form of imprisonment that robbed them of joy and connection. Others found it a time for reflection, creativity, and self-discovery. This reality reflects Friedrich Nietzsche's notion of the will to power, where individuals harness their circumstances to impose their own interpretations on life, crafting meaning from chaos. Just as the child's dilemma about the canyon can be framed in multiple ways, so too can the pandemic shape diverse narratives. However, the limitations of perspective cannot be ignored. While our views are valuable, they can also be blinding. Cognitive biases, as explored in psychology, can create echo chambers, leading us to dismiss alternative viewpoints. Philosopher Thomas Nagel famously posited that there exists a view from nowhere, suggesting an impartial perspective that can transcend individual biases. Perhaps the challenge is to balance our personal perceptions with a broader understanding, inviting the views of others into our contemplation. In a world where perspectives collide, fostering empathy becomes essential. Listening to contrasting experiences is not merely an exercise, it's a pathway to richer understanding. How often do we rush to judgment, viewing things solely through our lens? As we reflect on the canyon and our place within it, we might consider how perspectives not only enrich our lives, but also challenge us to grow. What if we allowed ourselves to embrace the terror while seeking the beauty? The questioning does not end here. Perhaps it sirens deeper insights yet to be unearthed. Ultimately, as we traverse this landscape of thought, we are left to ponder the profound simplicity of the question that began this journey. How might you see the world differently today? The essence of happiness, is it a choice or a destination? Imagine standing at the edge of a great ocean, waves gently lapping at your feet. As you gaze into the horizon, you ponder a simple yet profound question. Is happiness a fleeting moment to be savored, or is it a long, arduous journey toward an unattainable destination? This exploration of happiness invites us into the heart of a long-standing philosophical dilemma. On one end of the spectrum, we find the notion that happiness is a choice. This perspective, championed by philosophers like Viktor Frankl, emphasizes the power of our mindset. In his work, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl uncovers how, even in atrocities, individuals can discover purpose and, consequently, happiness. To choose happiness is to embrace a mindset that seeks joy amidst life's chaos. It forms the basis of positive psychology, where researchers like Martin Seligman argue that our subjective well-being can indeed be cultivated through intentional practices, such as gratitude and mindfulness. Yet, contrasting this idea, we encounter the argument that happiness is a destination, a state of being to be achieved. Aristotle, in his concept of eudaimonia, suggests that happiness is the highest good one can attain, a culmination of living virtuously and fulfilling one's potential. This notion implies that happiness is not merely a transient emotion, but a significant achievement in the narrative of our lives. It suggests a structure, a path marked by milestones that guide us toward fulfillment and contentment. In the modern world, this dilemma resonates deeply. Many people chase happiness as if it were a prize awaiting them at the finish line of their efforts. They set goals, a promotion, a relationship, wealth, believing that achieving these will bring them the happiness they seek. However, this chase often leads to a paradox. The more they pursue happiness as a destination, the more elusive it appears. Research shows that happiness derived from external accomplishments tends to be fleeting, leaving one longing for more. Conversely, those who view happiness as a choice may find joy even in the mundane. They cultivate moments of contentment through their daily experiences, weaving threads of happiness into the fabric of their lives. This perspective feels liberating. It reminds us that the power to be happy is within reach, dependent on how we interpret our reality rather than on external circumstances. As we wander through this philosophical landscape, we are left with a lingering question. Is happiness a conscious decision we can make each day, or is it a final destination that requires specific paths and milestones to reach? Can these two perspectives coexist, guiding us through the labyrinth of life? Perhaps real wisdom lies in the intersection of these ideas, the understanding that while we can choose to find joy in our everyday existence, it is equally essential to strive toward deeper dreams and aspirations. So, as you reflect on this journey of thought, consider this. How do you perceive happiness in your life? Is it a rich tapestry, woven from choices, or is it a distant shore you are forever sailing toward? Allow these questions to linger, inviting you to explore the essence of happiness in your own way. The illusion of control, understanding life's unpredictability. Imagine a warm, sunlit afternoon. You've carefully planned a picnic in the park, gathered delicious food, chosen a tranquil spot, and even brought your favorite book. As you settle down, a sudden storm rolls in, drenching everything in a matter of minutes. Here you are, soaked and cold, wondering how your meticulously curated plans could unravel in an instant. This scenario reflects a profound truth we often overlook: life's unpredictable nature and our illusion of control. These moments stir in us a deep philosophical dilemma. We strive for certainty in an inherently uncertain world, a desire captured by the 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant. He believed that our minds yearn to impose order on chaos, crafting narratives of control that provide comfort. Yet this quest often leads us astray. What if control is merely an illusion, a mirage that calms waves of anxiety but fails to hold water in the face of life's unpredictability? One modern-day connection to this theme can be found in the realm of personal relationships. We might invest time and energy into ensuring our bonds are strong, talking over dinner, planning trips, resolving conflicts. But external influences, like economic downturns or sudden relocations, can disrupt these relationships in ways we never anticipated. Much like how the storm interrupted our picnic, unforeseen changes can challenge our delicate fabric of control and assurance. Philosophers like Soren Kierkegaard grappled with this illusion, recognizing that the anxiety of life's unpredictability can provoke meaningful choices. Kierkegaard suggested that within our struggles lies the opportunity to confront our limitations. When we acknowledge that life can veer off script, we come to understand our true essence, not through certainty, but through navigating uncertainty and accepting our vulnerability. Yet, let us not forget how comforting the belief in control can be. Existentialist thinkers, particularly Jean-Paul Sartre, argue that acknowledging our freedom involves accepting the burden of choice. Fearing unpredictability, we may cling to routines and expectations, masking our existential angst. When we embrace the chaos instead, we begin to create meaning in the very unpredictability that terrifies us. As we ponder these perspectives, we see the relevance of this dilemma in our daily lives. The routines, plans, and goals we set may provide a semblance of control, but are they suffocating our ability to adapt? Life's twists and turns invite us to practice resilience, to find joy amidst uncertainty, and to learn the delicate balance between planning and flexibility. In this complex interplay, we find ourselves standing before an open door of contemplation. How might our understanding shift if we embraced life's unpredictability? What might we learn about ourselves in this surrendering of control? Perhaps the essence of wisdom lies not in resisting uncertainty, but in gracefully dancing with it, allowing life to unfold its mysteries. As we reflect on these questions, we may find that in being open to the unpredictable, we unlock the richness of existence itself. The nature of change, how we transform over time. Imagine gazing at a river, its waters flowing ceaselessly. Though the surface appears calm and stagnant, it's in a constant state of flux. Unseen currents move beneath the surface, shaping its course, even as the landscape around it remains largely unchanged. This scene mirrors the human experience. On the outside, we may seem stable, yet within, we are in perpetual transformation. How can we grasp the nature of this change, both within ourselves and in the world around us? Change is a philosophical riddle that has captivated thinkers for centuries. Heraclitus famously asserted, "You cannot step into the same river twice," emphasizing that everything is in a state of constant becoming. His philosophy compels us to reflect on our lives. Are we the same person we were yesterday or even moments ago? As we gather experiences, learn, and interact with others, we are continually reshaped by both external forces and internal reflections. Yet contrasting views offer a different perspective. Parmenides argued for the idea of permanence, suggesting that change is merely an illusion and that reality is an unchanging entity. This dichotomy raises crucial questions. Is change an inherent aspect of existence, or is it a phenomenon we interpret through the lens of our subjective experiences? The Stoics, in their quest for tranquility amidst chaos, propose that our response to change matters more than the change itself. They argue for acceptance of the inevitable shifts in life, asserting that while we cannot control external circumstances, we can control our reactions. In modern life, we confront change daily, through technology, relationships, and societal shifts. Consider the rise of remote work or our growing reliance on digital communication. These transitions have transformed not only how we work, but also how we relate to ourselves and one another. As life accelerates and metamorphoses, do we adapt, or do we resist the inevitable? Philosophers like Martin Heidegger invite contemplation of being and becoming. Are we merely products of our circumstances, or do we have the agency to redefine ourselves through our choices? Contemplating change leads us to wonder about the self. Is there a core essence that remains intact amidst all this transformation? If we shape our identities through relationships, experiences, and beliefs, What does that mean for our understanding of continuity? Are we ever the same person over time, or are we a mosaic of moments and choices perpetually evolving? As we watch the river flow, may we find a sense of solace in the idea that change is not an end, but a journey, a continuous stream propelling us through life. Embracing this fluidity can lead to deeper insights about who we are and who we might become. Perhaps the essence of our existence lies not in stability, but in the ever-changing nature of our thoughts, feelings, and identities. And as we reflect on the nature of change, the journey invites us to ponder, who are we becoming today? The future of humanity, what lies ahead for our species? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast cliff, overlooking an immense expanse of ocean. The horizon stretches endlessly, a boundary between the known and the unknown. As the waves crash below, you contemplate humanity's journey thus far and the path that lies ahead. What will become of our species in this ever-evolving landscape of technology and ethics? What dilemmas will we face as we embrace the future? This contemplation leads us to the philosophical inquiry about the future of humanity, a question that echoes through the thoughts of many, including the renowned futurist Ray Kurzweil, who posits that advancing technology will allow humanity to transcend biological limitations. As we stand on the brink of an era defined by artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and perhaps even space colonization, we must ask ourselves, what does it mean to be human, and what implications does our evolution hold? From the perspective of existentialism, as expressed by philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre, each individual has the power to define their essence through choices and actions. In a future dominated by technological advancements, will our choices still be our own, or will we find ourselves subject to algorithms designed to predict and manipulate our desires? This leads to hard questions about free will and authenticity. Are we truly paving our own destinies, or are our paths determined by the very technologies we create in our attempt to enhance our understanding of reality? Conversely, the posthumanist viewpoint, embraced by thinkers like Donna Haraway, argues for a notion of identity that transcends the boundaries of human existence and intertwines with technology. Should we see ourselves not as separate from our creations, but as part of an intricate tapestry that includes our tools, our governance, and our environments? This perspective invites us to consider a future where humanity merges with technology, possibly enhancing our cognitive abilities and lifespan, but posing ethical dilemmas surrounding inequality, identity, and the very nature of what it means to be human. In our contemporary world, we already witness the repercussions of these philosophical dilemmas. For instance, the rapid advancement of AI prompts significant questions about employment, agency, and ethical responsibility. As machines begin to take on tasks once performed by humans, how do we redefine work and purpose? Will future generations champion creativity and emotional intelligence, or will they prioritize efficiency at the expense of connection and meaning? Yet embedded in these concerns is hope. The adaptability of humanity has always been remarkable. We have faced crises of war, climate change, and pandemics, often emerging resilient and innovative. The internet itself, a double-edged sword, has connected us across vast distances, fostering understanding and collective action. Perhaps the future of humanity lies not solely in technological advancement, but in our capacity for empathy, collaboration, and ethical reflection amidst change. As we ponder what lies ahead, we must embrace the uncertainty that accompanies progress. Will we steer our own evolution or become mere spectators to our creations? The future is a canvas, one where each brushstroke is influenced by our choices today. How we navigate this uncharted territory remains ours to decide. What awaits humanity? The answer lies in the choices we make in the present, echoing in the endless horizon before us.